I'm Chef Jasper, and today we're in the kitchen making one of my all-time fall favorites. Of course, it's an Italian sausage and chicken stew. You're gonna absolutely love this recipe. So let's get started. First of all, we need some delicious Italian sausage. And of course, I love the sausage with the Italian fennel in it. Just gives it a little more flavor. It's a little sweeter, of course. And what we're gonna do, some people like just to put the whole Italian sausage links in their dishes, but I think we need to cut them first. So I'm going to cut this into thirds. You can cut it into fourths. It's up to you. And just set this into a hot frying pan with a little bit of oil. Just a touch of oil, not a lot. And let's get this party started, okay? And now, while the Italian sausage is cooking, of course, I'm going to do a little more prep work. So our sausage is browning right now. As this is browning, let's go ahead, get some bell peppers going here. Very, very simple. Take out that core of that pepper. I don't like to waste any of this. Of course, it just pops right out. Any leftover seeds, of course, be a little careful with. We don't want any of that inside there, so we just cut this pepper, that flesh, and just set this aside. Of course, let's get an onion here. And in the meantime, let's check on our Italian sausage. Look, this is the flavor at the bottom of the pan. Remember that. Especially if I splash a little wine in there in a little bit. Another little secret I like to do. So, when we cut our onion, it's really up to you how much you want in here. I don't know. I mean, I say a whole onion. Sometimes I like to dice it. Sometimes I want some nice pieces, to give it a little bite. Totally up to you also. Set this aside. Of course, a red onion, a yellow onion, a white onion. I prefer white and yellow onions. I really use the yellow onions more in my tomato sauces and sauteing. The red onions I absolutely love in my cold salads if I don't have to heat something up. All right, now we have our prep work done. Let's get this sausage. It's nice and brown. Remember I told you a little hint, a little splash of white wine. Look at that. Not only it cleans our pan, we'll just set this into our casserole, because it's going to cook the rest of the way in the oven. And we could start sauteing our chicken thighs next. And now we're going to saute some of the chicken thighs. Of course, I like the boneless chicken thighs. You can use skin on, it's up to you. But I also, I don't know, I think it's a little easier to cook with this. And they will cook a little quicker in the oven. Now, of course, cut these in half. That's all we need to do. And then we can actually just salt and pepper these, just season them just a little bit. But our main seasoning is going to be with our thyme and rosemary and a little bit of tarragon and red pepper flakes. All right, our seasoned pan, of course, a little bit of olive oil again. You can use half olive oil and half butter, that's okay. A little bit of salt on our thighs. Someone asked me the other day when I was talking about this recipe, how about other parts of the chicken? Of course, the chicken breast, the wings are great in this. It doesn't matter, get a whole chicken and cut it up. That's okay. Looking for flavor in this dish. And of course, what are we doing? We're building layers right now. And notice no flour on this. We don't need flour on this. This is going to cook in just a few minutes. We're just browning again. We're not cooking the chicken to an internal temperature of 165 right here. We just want to really just brown the outside before we add it to our casserole. All right, let's flip these chicken thighs over now. Nice and golden color on the outside. Just what we're looking for. Remember, I'm not really worried about the internal temperature right here. And again, once these start browning on the outside, on the other side, we'll do a little of that magic trick again. And really just add a touch of wine to it. You want to draw a little of the water out of that chicken. Add a little salt at this time. And of course, a splash of that wine. Oh, this is giving it flavor. Building layers again. Infusing the chicken with a little bit of that white wine. It doesn't matter. Pinot Grigio, a little bit of Chardonnay. That's up to you. All right. We'll let this brown just for a few more minutes. That's really about it. At this time, let's remove our chicken thighs from the pan. Lower your heat a little bit because we're going to saute our onions and peppers now. We'll just lower that just a tad there. And let's add these peppers first. Now, we're going to have some garlic in here, but remember, we don't like to add the garlic too early because we don't need to brown that. But with these onions, we want to kind of caramelize them a little bit, give them some great flavor. Kind of cook the sugar out of them. Again, a well-seasoned pan. And it can't hurt to finish up with a little bit of white wine in this pan also. And while our onions and peppers are sauteing, let's just go ahead and chop up some fresh garlic. And with the garlic, of course, we'll wait until I think our onions are about halfway through. Remember, this is all going to cook down together in our casserole, so we really don't want to cook them all the way down. Just kind of get these onions nice and golden and give it some flavor. All right. At this time, let's go ahead, add our garlic to this, season with a little bit of salt and cracked pepper. Give this a little turn very, very quickly with that garlic in there. Bringing everything together, and oh, the smell in this kitchen right now. A little bit of white wine. Scrape the bottom of that pan. Now all the flavors are coming together. And it's up to you if you want to cook the mushrooms now. I don't cook the mushrooms right now. I add the mushrooms to the casserole. You may want to saute them, but remember, with mushrooms, a lot of water in there, and what's going to happen, they're going to lose it. They may become very, very small, so if you want to see those mushrooms, let's add them a little later on in the casserole. Of course, with the potatoes and the peas, we'll add them the last 20 minutes or so of the cooking. All right. I like to always say we have a nice clean pan now. Oh, yes. How about that? Beautiful, easy, and delicious. All right, now it's time to put everything together in this beautiful chicken and Italian sausage stew. Of course, some mushrooms. And now you can kind of understand if I would have sauteed these mushrooms, they would have disappeared. Given some great flavor, but they would have just kind of gone away. And also, we're going to add all of our herbs and seasoning at this time. And I really, really insist on this, the Italian tomatoes. I mean, yes, it does make a difference. No puree, no tomato paste, even fresh tomatoes will not do the trick. You really have to have the canned Italian tomatoes. All right. Red chili pepper flakes. A little bit of tarragon. I think this kind of gives a nice sweet flavor. Of course, we have the fennel and the sausage. Okay, some thyme. Rosemary. And if you have fresh rosemary, that's okay. You can use the fresh rosemary too. And, of course, we finish with a little bit of basil. Basilico. Fresh basil's goodness, but not until later on because the basil maybe get a little brown and it just doesn't bring out the flavor like the dry basil. Of course, our Italian tomatoes, and watch, a little trick again. Put them on top. Add the wine. You know, we already added some wine, but that's really a lot of flavor. And of course, now we need to add our mushrooms, but first of all, let's get these tomatoes and kind of, you know, chop them up. You want to use your hands, that's okay, because that's the way Mom and Dad used to make it. And kind of bring this all into the corners here. There we go. These Italian tomatoes, what a difference. Some mushrooms. A little bit more salt. And then we're going to kind of turn everything a little bit in this casserole at this point. It's okay if the sausages come to the top. We don't want those mushrooms without any juice on them because we don't want them to brown much. We're looking for flavor. I always like to say that. So I think I have this turned enough. And at this point, we're going to bake it in the oven. And of course, let all the flavors of the chicken and the sausage all come together. Now, I have before experimented with a little bit of chicken broth. It's good. But I think the chicken broth just takes away some of the flavor from the wine. So I like to leave it as is. So in a preheated 450-degree oven, let's bake this for about 35 to 45 minutes. Okay, at this time, we have taken the dish out of the oven, and of course, we're going to cut some potatoes, add the peas, and place it back in the oven and bake. Oh, I love my potatoes in this dish. Seriously. Quarter them, slice them, do whatever you'd like. When they're a little bit bigger, I like to quarter them. Otherwise, we'll just cut them in half. These smaller ones I peeled. I do like peeling them ahead of time. I don't like to have the skin in this. Although a lot of dishes, I will use the skin. You know, it gives a lot of vitamins and flavor, but not with this dish. And now we'll finish this up. Of course, add these peas. Yes, the peas. My father always loved peas in some of his dishes, and this is an old family recipe, so we just have to do it. Again, let's bring everything together. And oh, this chicken is just fantastic. The sausage smell right now. And this is going to cook pretty quickly. These potatoes, I guarantee, are going to cook thoroughly back in the oven. But I want to coat them with a little bit of this juice because we don't want any little white outer parts of it, even though they're cooked all the way. They just don't look as good. So you need a little of the sauce right on top. Kind of hit your edges, turn everything one time, and it's back in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. And just out of the oven, chicken and Italian sausage stew. Oh, so delicioso, and something I would be proud to serve my family. Brought to you by Hen House Markets.